What's going on, guys? It's Cal here from Buffalo Sports Center. Today, I am going to very briefly list off 5 free agents I think the Sabres should sign in the offseason. Now, before I begin, let's remember this is the Buffalo Sabres, and they most likely will not sign any big names. So I do have a couple big names in here. I also have a couple more reasonable names that the Sabres could get. Keep in mind, the Sabres, at the time of this recording, have yet to make any changes in management, coaching, whatsoever. So I'm not expecting too much change, and we could really see the same team going into next year, plus or minus a couple AHL guys. But we're hoping for a big offseason. Again, we'll see. Kevyn Adams last year said the time is now, proceeded to do absolutely nothing, and they went on a monstrous losing streak, still did nothing, and the team ended up in the cellar. So let's get right into this video. Number 1, no surprise here. Of course, I got to say Mitch Marner. Bills fan, do I have to explain any more than that? He's 27 right now. He's going to be 28 by the time next season comes around. This year had a great season, 102 points with 27 goals, a whole lot of assists on that top line with the Maple Leafs. Again, the Maple Leafs, assuming they don't make a deep playoff run, because they really never do, Mitch Marner will probably be gone because the Leafs, they're in a tough cap situation right now. And I think Mitch Marner, they could sign him back, but he's due for a monster contract, and this could be a guy that the Sabres kind of build around and add to this newly established core. I'm not going to be mentioning any trades, but, this could kind of equal an Elias Pettersson trade if they wanted to go that route. But anyway, Mitch Marner, again, a very solid player, can put the puck in the net. We saw him in the Four Nations Championship have an overtime goal that was pretty nice. He's one of those guys that is just a likable guy, and let's be honest, Leafs fans have really dunked on him the last couple of years, so he really shouldn't have any loyalty to Toronto, really shouldn't take a cheaper deal to stay there. Although this year, I think they like him a little bit more because right now they are playing decent hockey. Let's move on to number 2. I have a defenseman. The Sabres want veteran defenseman with Stanley Cup experience. How about Aaron Ekblad from the Florida Panthers? He's 29 years old, 33 points last season with 30 assists, so definitely a good setup guy, a former first overall pick back in 2014, 2015. Ekblad, he's a solid defenseman. He has a nice mix of defense and offense. I think he would fit well with this current Sabres team. Again, the Sabres defense has been a major problem the last couple of seasons, and that's definitely the big area that I think they have to improve on. So I think this would be a big signing. Again, money would be probably a lot, but again, if you're Kevyn Adams, you got to overpay for guys to stay here in Buffalo or come here to Buffalo. And let's be honest, the Sabres don't spend anywhere near the cap ceiling anyway, so I could list off 3 of the top players in the league, and they could afford it, they just won't do it. Moving on to number 3, I went goalie here. Ilya Samsonov. This is a guy who I could think would potentially be a James Reimer replacement, maybe a little bit better there, but you absolutely cannot go into next season and sell me on, UPL and Devin Levi again. That's not going to happen. That's not going to work. Can we stop with this nonsense? Devin Levi looks really good in the AHL right now. I get it. But UPL, another disappointing year in the NHL. And when Devin Levi played in the NHL this year, he looked lost. So to think those two are going to be, your 2 options going into a year where it's really make or break. Again, you have to make the playoffs. If you don't make the playoffs, I want every single piece of that management and coaching staff gone. I don't care if you got to rebuild again. The current core just isn't going to do it if they can't make the playoffs next year. Samsonov, a 2.82 goals against on average. His save percentage, almost 900s, but the upper end of the 800s there. So, again, it would be a solid option. I don't think it would be too expensive. Samsonov obviously has had better seasons in the past, but really got bumped down this year. So, a potential option at goaltending. Moving on to number 4, how about Morgan Geekie from the Boston Bruins? Had 57 points last year, 33 goals, and I've really liked Morgan Geekie since he's come into the league. I think he would be a sort of gritty, nice playmaker for the Sabres team. The Sabres team certainly needs a guy like Geekie. Do I think the Sabres go out and make this move? Absolutely not. But I think it would be very, very great for this team if they could do it. I think it would be a great addition to the current core, and I could definitely see him sliding in on a second line, potentially third line. And, it's really seeing how it works out with Morgan Geekie. moving on to my last guy here. This one's more for fun, but he is a free agent, and he did have a resurgence year with the Carolina Hurricane. How about Eric Robinson, old friend, right? He came here at the trade deadline a couple seasons ago, and man, I absolutely loved what he brought to the table. Speed, he was gritty, he was everything we wanted Sam Lafferty and Beck Malenstein and Nicholas Abe-Kubel to be last season, which none of the three were. I think if you get Eric Robinson, he could be a great replacement for any of those three guys. Again, I'll give a little bit of credit to Beck Malenstein. You were the best of the Three Stooges last year. Again, Abe-Kubel got cut, mid-year, and Sam Lafferty, if it wasn't for injuries, would have done the same. So, again, those three guys drove me nuts all season long. Eric Robinson, I love the way he plays. If he could replace any of those three, that would be a great move, in my opinion. Let me know in the comment section below what free agents you guys have your eyes on for this Sabres team. Again, I'm really in between here on what I think of the Sabres' current situation at coach and management. Again, I'll probably make another video discussing this, but it's really a tough decision because we're at a point now where it's really like, what do you do, right? You've changed coaches so many times, you've changed GMs so many times, and it hasn't worked at all. You have a core, like again, the only thing that stayed constant during this whole thing has been the owner, Terry Pegula. So I think it's an owner problem, and I think the owner has to figure it out because, I see people saying, oh, the Sabres might get relocated, the lease is up on the... That's not happening. Don't even worry about that. The Sabres are, not even in the top 5 teams, I think, that could get relocated. But something has to change because you can't go another 3-4 years of no playoffs. Then I might start to get a little bit concerned. Gary Bettman and the rest of the league executives are going to look at Buffalo and say, man, they're not really trying. The fans are not going to show up if they're not trying. And it's really one of the saddest things in professional sports right now. Buffalo is such a great sports city, such a great hockey city, and these last 10 years have just been miserable. It's just like how could you be Terry Pegula right now? And just not spend to the cap ceiling every single year. And I've said it, and again, people come back with the argument that, oh, well, he tried, he did spend to the cap ceiling, he spent money, but it didn't work because he had, idiots, at the GM and the coach, so it didn't work. That doesn't mean anything. That's your one job as the owner. Spend to the cap ceiling and make this team a playoff team. I don't get it. You cannot make an excuse that, well, I tried, so this year I'm not going to try, and I'm going to use 70% of my cap space and be content with being a bottom 5 team. That's what they've done. 7 out of the last 10 years. And if that's your mentality and that's how you're going to keep doing it, then good, leave. At this point, the Sabres and Terry Pegula, Terry Pegula doesn't deserve to own an NHL team if he's going to do this over and over and over. And again, Terry Pegula, great guy. I say the same thing with the Bills, right? But if you don't get to your goals and, you're Kevin Adams and Terry Pegula shoos you out there, go talk to the media, go tell them this is the year, blah, blah, blah. He's this puppet right now, and that's what Terry Pegula wants. He hasn't spoken to the media in forever. It's been years. And, there's no responsibility, and you can't hide behind the Bills, right? I know a lot of you guys who watch these Sabres videos are not Bills fans, and I hear about it all the time because, people say, well, he does a good job with the Bills, and you guys go, I don't care. I'm a Sabres fan only, and, I feel that too because, as a fan of both teams, it's really painful to watch the Sabres, and I spend so many hours, thinking of what they could do, and playing, computer GM and all that, and at the end of the day, they're not going to do anything because this team just, they don't have the right mentality right now, and they could sell you on their scouting department and how much time Terry Pegula spends in these meetings, but again, if I'm watching these, behind the scenes videos and you're going, uh-oh, I might have just blew it. I might only get a 6th round pick for Kyle Okposo instead of a 5th round pick. If that's what you're freaking out about at the trade deadlines, if you're, freaking out because the only move you want to make at a trade deadline is, I got to get Yoki Haru off this team. Oh, okay, let's go. We found him. And then everyone claps and Lindy Ruff goes, let's go. That's perfect. That is absolutely embarrassing. Again, you've done nothing notable throughout the last 10 years as owner. This team has just, there's no direction, right? Like they'll make a one-off move once in a while, like a Taylor Hall, and it gets everybody back invested, and then they follow it up with nothing. And it's like, what is your plan? Like it's just bad booking. It reminds me of wrestling when you turn John Cena heel and there's no storyline behind it, and everyone's just kind of like, oh, this kind of sucks. It's just terrible, and I really hope that the Sabres can get it figured out. So again, I'll make more of these videos displaying some more free agents, some potential trades they can make. But thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for listening to me rant about the Sabres. There's going to be more of these to come, I'm sure of it, because the Sabres just can't get out of their own way. But maybe next year's the year. Maybe next year is the year.